Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Iskon Gurvind ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shishi Kotinitai Mai Prashishi ki jai, Gaur Premananda. Reading from Nectar of Devotion. Similarly, we can offer many services with our bodily activities, but all such activities must be in relationship with Krishna. This relationship is established by connecting oneself with a bona fide spiritual master, who is a direct representative of Krishna in disciplic succession. Therefore, the execution of Krishna conscious activities with the body should be directed by the spiritual master and then performed with faith. The connection with the spiritual master is called initiation. From the date of initiation by the spiritual master, the connection between Krishna and a person cultivating Krishna consciousness is established. Without initiation by a bona fide spiritual master, the actual connection with Krishna consciousness is never performed. This cultivation of Krishna consciousness is not material. The Lord has three general energies, namely the external energy, the internal energy, and the marginal energy. The living entities are called marginal energy, and the material cosmic manifestation is the action of the external or material energy. Then there is the spiritual world, which is a manifestation of the internal energy. The living entities who are called marginal energy perform material activities when acting under the inferior external energy, And when they engage in activities under the internal spiritual energy, their activities are called Krishna consciousness. This means that those who are great souls or great devotees do not act under the spell of material energy, but act instead under the protection of the spiritual energy. Any activities done in devotional service or in Krishna consciousness are directly under the control of spiritual energy. In other words, energy is a sort of strength, and this strength can be spiritualized by the mercy of both its bona fide spiritual master and Krishna. Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. As it's Advaita Acharya's appearance day, we're going to give a class from a verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 1:13. So, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. So this chapter is entitled The Spiritual Masters. Advaitam Harin, sorry, I'll do one word. Advaitam Harin Advaitad Acharyam Bhakti Shamsanat Bhakta Avataram Isham Tam Advaita Acharyam Ashraye Advaitam Harinadvaitad Acharyam Bhakti Samshanat Bhaktavataram Isham Tam Advaita Charyam Ashraye Advaitam Harinadvaitad Acharyam Bhakti Samshanat Bhaktavataram Isham Tam Advaita Charyam Ashraye Advaitam Harinadvaitad Acharyam Bhakti Shamsanat Bhaktavataram Isham Tam Advaita Charyam Ashraye Advaitam Harin Advaitad Acharyam Bhakti Shamsanat Bhaktavataram Isham Tam Advaitam Charyam Ashraye. Advaitam Hari Advaitad Charya Santi Samshanat Bhaktavataram Isham Tam Advaita Charyam Ashraye. Advaitam Harin Advaitad Acharyam Bhakti Samshanat Bhaktavataram Isham Tam Bhagavata Charyam Ashraye. Ladies. Advaitam Harinadvaitad Acharyam Bhakti Shamsanat Bhaktavataram Tam Advaita Charyam Ashraye. Advaitam, known as Advaita. Harina, with Lord Hari. Advaitat, from being non-different. Acharyam, known as Charya, Bhakti Shamsanat, from the propagation of devotional service to Shri Krishna. Bhaktavataram, the incarnation as a devotee. Isham, to the Supreme Lord. Tam, to him. Advaita Acharyam, to Advaita Acharya. Ashray, I surrender. Translation. Because he is non-different from Hari, the Supreme Lord, he is called Advaita. And because he propagates the cult of devotion, he is called Acharya. He is the Lord and the incarnation of the Lord's devotee. Therefore I take shelter of him. Please repeat. Because he is non-different from Hari, the Supreme Lord, he is called Advaita. And because he propagates the cult of devotion, he is called Acharya. He is the Lord and the incarnation of the Lord's devotee. Therefore I take shelter of him. Actually, there's no purport. So this verse really gives, and the previous verse also, Lord Vetacharya is the incarnation of Mahavishnu, whose main function is to create the cosmic world through the actions of Maya. So these are the description of Advaita Acharya's role in this whole pastime of Lord Chaitanya, that actually Advaita Acharya is so great that he's an incarnation of Mahavishnu. We can't even imagine Mahavishnu. We see a picture of Mahavishnu there. Countless universes are coming out from the pores of his body. By his glands, he's creating the whole cosmic manifestation. So he's not like, a jiva, like an ordinary person. He's Vishnu Tattva. And he's not only Mahavishnu, but he's also an incarnation of Sadashiva. And Sadashiva is the original Shiva in Vaikuntha, from where Lord Shiva comes from. So he's an incarnation of Mahavishnu and Sadashiva, such great personality. And so here it's described that he's called Advaita because he's non-different from Hari. He's non-different from the Lord because he's Mahavishnu. And he also is called Acharya because he propagates the cult of devotion. This Bhakti Samshanat means spreading the Bhakti cult, or it's more like a Gostia Nandi. He's trying to increase the number of devotees. So this describes basically the Advaita Acharya's greatness, his role in this pastime. That the Lord Chaitanya comes with all his great associates, and they're not ordinary living entities. So Advaita Acharya is Mahavishnu and Sadashiva, and then Lord Nityananda is Lord Balaram, and Gadadhar Pandit is Radharani, Srivas Thakur is Narada Muni. So this Panchatattva is described as, it's like Bhaktavatar. This is incarnations of great acharyas. So acharya means that he's spreading the bhakti cult, like here Advaita Acharya. He's trying to increase the number of devotees. This actually pleases the Lord. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, none so dear as those who preach my glories. So this is the mood of the acharyas. Srila Prabhupada and his Guru Maharaj Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they wanted to increase the number of devotees in the world, and that's why they're acharyas. So, and even Krishna personally comes as Lord Chaitanya in the form of Lord Chaitanya to spread the bhakti cult to the fallen soul. So Krishna also says that we should accept the Acharya as myself. He says that in Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's a nice verse. He says, one should know the Acharya as myself and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, thinking him an ordinary man, for he is the representative of all the demigods. So an acharya, a spiritual master, is not an ordinary person. He's not to be considered like an ordinary person. He's a representative of the Lord. He's the most confidential servitor of the Lord. So he should be offered the same respect as the Lord. So Acharyavan Purusha Veda, one who has accepted Acharya, he knows things as they are. Otherwise, it's not possible to understand transcendental knowledge. And we just read in the Nectar of Devotion actually the same thing, that without the spiritual master, we can't really understand spiritual subject matters, transcendental subject matters. It's not possible. Even in material life, we need a teacher. Any subject we want to study, we need somebody who's actually well versed in that subject, whether it's medicine or engineering, whatever it is. We all go to a university or a college to learn from a teacher who is qualified in that field. So similarly, in spiritual life, we need to accept a spiritual teacher, a bona fide spiritual teacher who is qualified in transcendental knowledge. So this is the system of receiving transcendental knowledge by Yasha Prasada, Bhagavad Prasada, by pleasing the spiritual master, by abiding by his orders, by instructions, and by accepting him in that role as a representative of the Lord and faithfully following him. This is how we receive transcendental knowledge. This is how we actually receive it. It's not like some sort of academic subject matter. We need to actually get blessings of the previous acharyas, of the spiritual master, of the Vaishnavas, to actually progress in spiritual life. So here, Advaita Acharya he's such a great spiritual teacher. And his father's name was Kuvera Mishra, and his mother's name was Nabadevi. And he was actually born in a place called Srihatta. And there's a village there called Navagram. So that actually is the birthplace of Advaita Acharya. But after he was born, his father decided to move to Shantipur. So we all seem to know that Advaita Acharya is like his place is Shantipur, really. So that's where Advaita Acharya is from. And when Kuvera Pandit was doing the name-giving ceremony, then he called his son two names. One was Mangala and one was Kamalaksha, which means lotus-eyed one. And later on, of course, he got the name of Advaita Acharya because of the reasons we gave already, that he's non-different from Hari and he propagates the culture of devotion. He also married two daughters of a Brahmana called Nasimha Vaduri, and they were Shri and Sita Thakurani. We generally hear more about Sita Thakurani more than Shri. I don't know why, but they were both daughters and they're both incarnations of Yogamaya. So both of them are accepted as that. And then, so as Advaita Acharya was growing up, he saw how people in this age of Kali are becoming so degraded, and they're just suffering. They're not like having any interest in spiritual subject matters. They're basically absorbed in materialistic activities. And he couldn't tolerate it. So in his heart, he was really crying for the fallen souls. He was actually crying in compassion. And he was thinking, I must make Krishna come down to this world to save these souls, so that they can get devotional service, because only Krishna can actually give to actually spread. He has to incarnate to actually show us how to do it. So who can actually make the Supreme Lord appear? It's not possible. Only by the desire of a dear devotee of Krishna or a very confidential, intimate devotee can actually make the Lord appear. It's not possible otherwise, because Krishna is not our order carrier. But Krishna is bound to his pure devotee. So Krishna says in the Bhagavatam that I'm not independent. I'm totally dependent on my devotees. I have no independence. So Advaita Acharya made a vow, and he said, I will make Krishna appear here and show Krishna to everyone. If I do not, then I will not be known by the name Advaita Acharya, the servant of Krishna. So it's in the Chaitanya Bhagavad, it's described, there's a nice verse, it says, Karimu Krishna sarva nayana gochara, tabi se Advaita nam Krishnera kinkara. So he made this vow that, if I cannot make Krishna appear here and show him to all the people of Kali Yuga, then my name is not Advaita Acharya. I'll give up this name of Advaita Acharya. So he made this vow that he'll give up his name of Advaita Acharya if he doesn't make Krishna appear. And how did he call him? How did he make him appear? He worshipped the Shalagram Shila with Tulsi and Ganges water. And he simply cried. He was calling out Krishna so loudly, and he was crying and crying for the Lord to appear. He was crying, please come down, please come down. And he's actually described as Hankara, like his voice was like a roaring, he was roaring out Krishna's name. So this call actually penetrated the material universe, went to the Goloka Vrindavan. And it's described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that one of the names of Advaita Acharya is Nara, because it's short for Narayan, because he's Mahavishnu. And Lord Chaitanya would say that many times. He would say, with a roaring voice, Nara called me. He made me come down. My seat shook in my eternal abode, so I couldn't stay there. I had to come down. He made me come down by his loud calling. So Advaita Acharya's loud calling made the Lord appear. And he many times would say that because of Nara that I've come, because of Nara that appeared. So as I said, that only a pure devotee like Advaita Acharya could, make the Lord appear. And then Lord Chaitanya appeared with his holy dham, with his associates, and into this material world. So he appeared with all his pure devotees, eternal associates from Shweta-dweep and Goloka Vrindavan. So we pray to Advaita Acharya for mercy, so that we can, so when we call on Krishna, that with such feeling that Krishna will also, descend into our heart and take residence there and give us pure love for him. He's already come in his deity form. Actually, one of the ways our deities actually came is Shivram Maharaj was saying that because we had this Gauranga campaign and we were always all chanting Gauranga, and we were spreading Gauranga's name everywhere. And he says, because you've been calling it Gauranga for so many years, then Gauranga has actually come. Lord Chaitanya came. So we've actually had that experience ourselves. So Kodantai Maipur came after, because of the Gauranga campaign, because we were calling out Gauranga so many times. And it was such a big campaign. So if we want the Lord to appear in our hearts and our lives, then we call out his name. That's what the whole Hare Krishna movement is about. We want to have this connection with Krishna, so we call out his name and he'll come if we call out sincerely. So this is the whole Krishna consciousness movement is based on the chanting of Hare Krishna, and that's what Lord Chaitanya came to propagate. So Advaita Acharya is one of the first associates of Lord Chaitanya who called for him to appear. And since then, everyone's been chanting Krishna's name and calling out for the Lord to appear. So he's appeared in so many forms around the world, in deity forms, in kirtan, so many ways. We're actually asking the Lord to come and help, free the suffering souls from this illusory world. So this is the real purpose of the Krishna conscious movement, is to spread the holy name and increase the number of devotees around the world. The more and more people take up Krishna consciousness, the more spiritualized the planet will be, and the less problems, material problems, it will be. Of course, the material world, there's always going to be birth, death, old age, and disease. But to help us practice spiritual life, there needs to be some sort of reasonable, good atmosphere. Otherwise, it's very difficult in a very materialistic atmosphere to practice spiritual life. So our mission is to help every town and village. Lord Chaitanya said his name would be spread through every town and village of the world, and it's happening. And we're also part of that mission. We're also part of that prediction. And we've seen it, how this chanting of the holy names is helping so many people around the world become full of, become peaceful, and also spiritualize their life, give up their bad habits, give up a materialistic way of life, and take up spiritual life. So it's such an important mission. And Advaita Acharya wanted the Lord to appear because of this. He knew that if you want to spread this movement, then the Lord has to personally come down and start the movement. And Lord Chaitanya came for that reason, to propagate the process of bhakti yoga. So this process of devotional service is hearing, chanting, glorifying the Lord through different ways, through his names, through reciting scriptures, through singing his glories. And this is how it has been spreading, and it is going to spread continually. As we can see, it's helping so many souls around the world. We all are here because of this Krishna consciousness movement, and because of the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. So we should pray to Advaita Acharya that he helps us in this way. And there's a nice song by Lochandas Thakur. I don't know if you can get it on the screen, but I don't know what it's called, but I found it. It's about Advaita Acharya. Lochandas Thakur's song about Advaita Acharya. I don't know the melody. I've not heard it before. I've just seen the verses. So I'll just say the translation. Verse 1. Hankara means roaring call. With thunderous voice he was calling, please, please come down, please. Yara Hahankara Gora Avatar Haya, by whose roaring call Gora appeared. By his roaring call Gora appeared. The verse 2, the bestower of Prema, Sitanath, the husband of Sita Thakurani, is an ocean of mercy, by whose loving mellow the all-merciful Gauranga Mahaprabhu came down. Verse 3, Sriman Mahaprabhu came down here and bestowed his mercy on Advaita Acharya Prabhu. If one is fortunate to get the mercy of Advaita Acharya, then he will be able to glorify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 4, Emana Dayara Nidhi. Advaita Acharya Prabhu is such an ocean of mercy. I am such a rascal, I am not doing the bhajan of Advaita Acharya. One who does not do the bhajan of Advaita Acharya, who is the ocean of mercy, Lochandas Thakur says, Bali Nija Mati Bajara Padilu. He puts a thunderbolt on his own head. So this is a song written by Lochandas Thakur, glorifying Advaita Acharya Thakur. So, so today is the appearance of Advaita Acharya Prabhu, and we pray that he helps us come to this, help us to absorb ourselves in chanting the holy names for which purpose the Lord appeared, and to help spread it as he propagates the devotional service to Krishna. We should pray to him to help us propagate this bhakti cult in Scotland, to help spread it and spread Gauranga's name, spread Krishna's name, so many people can get the mercy. So it says the Panchatattva came and they opened the storehouse of love of God, and they were distributing it to even whether one is qualified or unqualified, they were giving it freely to everyone. So this is what the Harinam Sankirtan is about. We go on Harinam and we're giving the holy name to everyone, whether they're qualified or not qualified. Everyone hears the holy name. So even the animals hear it, the trees hear it. So this is the most merciful way of spreading the holy name. Is there any questions or comments?
Which year was it that Advaita Acharya appeared?
I can't remember. He was very old when Lord Chaitanya appeared. He was in his 90s, as far as I can remember, wasn't he? I can look it up. Shishikodantai Mai Prashashiki Jai. He well, it says he disappeared in 1559 at the age of 125 years. So we can work it out. Oh, it says 1434 to 1559. So 1434. 86. Yeah. So, yeah, he was quite old. He's always shown as with a beard, with a long white beard. No, he appeared in Srihat, and then they moved to Shantipur when he was after he was born. Anything else? Any pastimes of Lord?
So Lord Chaitanya banished him, and then Advaita Acharya said, "Oh, you've never been so merciful to me, because although Lord Chaitanya had beat Advaita Acharya for speaking Mayavadan philosophy, he hadn't banned him ever from his association." And so then he says, "You've given him special favor." So Lord Chaitanya was very pleased with this, and then he invited Kamalakanta back. So is that a good policy of Advaita Acharya, to try to get the spiritual master to chastise you, so you get special mercy?
It's an acquired taste. But Advaita Acharya was always respected by Lord Chaitanya as an elder and a spiritual master. And Advaita Acharya didn't like that because he wanted to be treated as a servant. So he even went to the extent of preaching Mayavad philosophy so that Lord Chaitanya would chastise him. So that's not like what we should do, you know. But because he wanted so much that Lord Chaitanya would treat him like a servant rather than a spiritual master. So, you know, he started preaching Mayavad philosophy, and then Lord Chaitanya found out. Lord Chaitanya came and chastised him and started beating him up. She described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, and then his wife was saying, "Don't beat him up, he's an old man, he'll die." And then Lord Chaitanya, then Advaita Acharya, "See, now you're chastising me, where is your kind of reverence now, on reverence now?" So Lord Chaitanya realized the trick, and then he stopped. There's also another pastime where Lord Chaitanya was. Yeah, Lord Chaitanya asked Advaita Acharya, what do you want, Acharya? And he says, "I don't want anything, I have you." He says, "No, but ask me for something." He says, "That form that you showed to Arjuna, I want to see that form." So then the Lord actually showed his universe form to Advaita Acharya, the one that he showed to Arjuna. So he wanted to see that form. "I want to see that form of yours." So he showed that. And there's many pastimes. Advaita Acharya had a son, Gopal Guru.
Yeah. And he was annoyed that Lord Chaitanya had been considered a disciple of Keshav Bharati Maharaj. He says, "How can he be? He's the spiritual master of the 14 worlds."
That's right. So somebody had come to ask Advaita Acharya, who is the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya? So Advaita Acharya was describing that, you know, Keshav Bharati Maharaj. And then his son, who's only like 5 years old, came, and he says, how can you say that Lord Chaitanya has a spiritual master? He's the supreme Lord of all the planets. Everything is coming from him. So he started saying all these things from a 5-year-old boy, you know. And then the guests realized that actually this is the answer that Advaita Acharya said, you know, you're like my spiritual master. He's saying to his son, you've actually said the right thing, you know. So officially Lord Chaitanya took a spiritual master, but you know, he's the supreme Lord, he's the spiritual master of everyone. And it's a very nice pastime, a nice lila. Chaitanya Bhagavat's many pastimes of Advaita Acharya. And it's very nice to hear all the different stories. And also Advaita Acharya is so great that one time Mother Sachi, she committed an offense to Advaita Acharya because she thought that her younger son had taken sannyas because Advaita Acharya was preaching his philosophy, you know, of renunciation and bhakti. And so she was afraid that Lord Chaitanya was also going to take sannyas because Advaita Acharya was, you know, always preaching to him. So then she said, he is not Advaita, he's Dvaita, you know, or something like this. So because she hadn't actually said it, she actually thought it. She wasn't even actually saying anything. She only thought it. And because of that, Lord Chaitanya wouldn't give her Krishna Prema. Everyone was getting it. And they were saying, well, how about Mother Sachi? Why don't you give her Krishna Prema? And he says, no, because she's committed an offense against Advaita Acharya. So I won't give her Krishna Prema. And at that point, Sachi Mata fell at Advaita Acharya's feet. And then she got free from that offense. So then she got Krishna Prema. So, you know, it's such an offense that even Mother Sachi wouldn't get Krishna Prema because she committed an offense against Advaita Acharya. So he's such a great personality. You know. Is there any other stories in the past?
Before Lord Chaitanya, was Advaita Acharya the head of the Vaishnavas?
Yeah.
And I have a question. In Lord Chaitanya's time, we see a lot of devotees receive Krishna Prema. But presently, is it that also lots of devotees are receiving Krishna Prema, but we just can't see it? Or is it less now because Lord Chaitanya's not here?
Well, when Lord Chaitanya was personally present, then, you know, his eternal associates were with him. And so they all have so much love for him. And he was giving it more freely. But that's like, you know, as soon as they see Lord Chaitanya, or as soon as they touch him or hear him, they were, you know, they had that. Lord Chaitanya can give that if he wants to. In the present time, we can still get it, but we've got the process to follow. So it's like it's described that if you go to somebody's house, then either you have to cook the meal yourself, or they give you the meal fully cooked already. So it's the same way. So they had the meal fully cooked, they got it. So we have to actually cook it ourselves. So it means we have to actually, you know, we've got the ingredients, we've got all the process, so we have to practice it and actually.
That was Shiv Ramraj that said that, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've read that as well somewhere in one of the books. So we've got the process, but we have to make the effort into, you know, doing it. You know, in those times, Lord Chaitanya could just give it if he wanted to.
Srila Prabhupada promised if you chant 16 rounds and follow 4 regs, that you'll go back to Godhead, which you can't do unless you get prema. So the reason why so few have it is that just because they're impatient. If they were to stay their entire life, they would get the prema, but you just have to stay.
Of course, we have to continue on in the process. And when we're ready, the Lord will give it. When He's pleased with us to that extent, then we will get it. Anybody else got any questions? Or any comments? Or any pastimes to share?
When we were in Mayapur, the first time I went, there was a special day which I collected I had to go and collect all the donations for it. It's a special day in Shantipur at Advaita Acharya's house. And on that day, if you give the locals khichdi and sweet rice, then you're guaranteed to go back to Godhead. Don't know if you've heard of that day. It's a big thing in Mayapur. All the devotees go and they make loads of prashad and they distribute it to all the locals in Shantipur. Oh, and then you're supposed to, and Advaita Maharaj was there and he said, everyone tend to a resident of Shantipur. So I tend to this little Bengali and he says, now give him a big hug. And then we had to embrace all the residents of Shantipur.
Nice. So is that verse, Panchatattva Makam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Surupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhakta Kyam Mama Dem Bhakti Shaktikam. So that's describing the Panchatattva. So so Advaita Acharya is Bhakta Avataram. And he's an incarnation of a devotee. So just so many amazing pastimes of Advaita Acharya, and his when he first, actually there's a description of how he first meets Lord Chaitanya as well, in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. And Lord Chaitanya sends one devotee to get Advaita Acharya, and Advaita Acharya, as far as I can remember, he stops at Nandan Acharya's house. I can't remember the whole pastime, but it's a really nice pastime. And then Lord Chaitanya tells him to bring Advaita Acharya from there. So they first meet, and then when they first meet, Advaita Acharya worships Lord Chaitanya, offers him tulsi to his feet, and does a whole ceremony. It's really, really beautifully described in Chaitanya Bhagavat. So that was the first meeting of Advaita Acharya and Lord Chaitanya.
There's a nice pastime as well where Lord Chaitanya gets tricked into thinking into the Jamuna, and then suddenly Advaita Acharya turns up. He goes, what are you doing over here in Vrindavan? He says, oh, this is Shantipur. He says, Lord Nityananda was tricked me. He says, no, this is where the Jamuna also flows here with the Ganga. And he says, just come to my place anyway. I've cooked one morsel of food. And it's like 3 pages describing what him and the Sita Thakurani had cooked, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Because Advaita Acharya and his wife had cooked this huge meal, and both Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda were invited. And when they both sat down, and Lord Nityananda said, oh, this won't even feed a mouthful. This won't even be one mouthful for me. It was like a huge big feast, you know. And Lord Chaitanya started taking prasad, and then Lord Nityananda threw some rice, and one of the grains of rice hit Lord Advaita Acharya, and then Advaita Acharya started dancing in ecstasy, and they had this special rasa, Lord Nityananda and Advaita Acharya. It was like always joking and making like sarcastic comments, but it was all out of love. And when we read it, unless somebody actually understands that this is actually a loving exchange, they'll think it's like really, But they had such love for each other, but it was on a sarcastic comments they were making to each other. He used to call him Lord Nityananda a reject Paramhamsa or something like this, So yeah, it was very, very nice to see how much love they had. And Advaita Acharya was always trying to invite Lord Chaitanya for prasad at his house. And there's so many other pastimes as well. I'm just trying to remember them. And Advaita Acharya was he had a few sons, right? And some of them,
Six.
six.
Three were good and three were
So three of them,
Apasampada.
so three of them took up the devotional bhakti cult, and the other three were Apasampradaya. They went the wrong path, and they were rejected by Advaita Acharya. So yeah, it's more. It's a lot of description of Chaitanya Bhagavat, more than Chaitanya Charitamrita. But it's very, very nice to read, to hear his pastimes. Okay, shall I stop?
Just I've been reading about the branches, and Advaita Acharya was the first branch of the Chaitanya tree.
The first branch. And from him, his descendants.
I'm not sure who the other branches were from him.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, my class was quite short, but it's just it's a day for us to really pray for Advaita Acharya to help us become really focused on chanting the holy name of the Lord, and to help us to preach this to others. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Advaita Acharya ki jai, Gaur Premanande.